Well, this was certainly a surprise. What's going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger. Ladies and gentlemen, a 500 megabyte update for Marvel Rivals is set to go live, and we finally have all the details. We're getting not one, but two exciting new skins added into the game, one of which is definitely a surprise and a bit of a head scratcher. We'll talk about that. We also are going to go on ahead and talk about the rest of the patch notes themselves, including a brand new surrender system, which was definitely a surprise, 5 brand new hero fixes, and much more, as well as stuff about season number 3, which is extremely exciting. Now, of course, before we dive into the news themselves, you guys know the drill. Scroll on down, smash that thumbs up button. Thank you guys so very much for your continued support and your kindness. Let's aim for 1,000 likes on this epic update. And without further ado, let's dive on in. So yes indeed, we kick things off with the mighty Thor as he receives another legendary skin. Interestingly enough, he's one of the few characters in this game right now that will have 2 legendary skins, which is pretty dang cool. So I guess the folks over at Marvel Rivals are big fans of Thor. Now, this is of course titled the Majestic Raiment skin, but this is obviously supposed to be his Hellfire Gala outfit. The interesting thing about this one is that allegedly, at least as of right now, this is the last Hellfire Gala skin that we will be receiving in Season 2.5. Now, of course, we still have about 2 to 3 updates left before Season 3 launches. Yes, we're now officially less than 3 weeks away from Season number 3, which will be debuting on July 11th. But we don't really know what other skins are on their way. There's really only one that I could think of, which would be the Spider-Man Future Foundation skin. I predicted that it would debut this week. It did not. Instead, we got a Punisher skin, which we'll talk about in just one moment. But I do think that that one will be debuting here in the next couple of weeks. So definitely expect that one to be part of a future update. But back to the skin at hand, which is of course our new Thor skin. This one, because it is a legendary rarity, it will cost you 2,200 units when you're trying to buy the complete bundle itself, so keep that in mind. However, you can also anticipate an animated nameplate with this one, so that should make the price a little bit more bearable and the bundle itself a bit more compelling. Now, of course, as far as the overall collection of skins for Thor, this brings his overall count to 7, which is pretty dang impressive in and of itself, just because I don't really think of Thor as like one of the most popular characters, and yet he continues to get more and more skins. So I guess as far as Marvel Rivals is concerned, maybe the Thor skins are actually selling really well. Now, what is his cumulative skin count, or what does it look like? Well, we had the default design, we had the recolor, which was the Midgard Umber design. Then we had the Herald of Thunder, which is one of my personal favorites. Then we have the Thor Love and Thunder design, followed by Reborn from Ragnarok. And of course, most recently, we got the Lord of Asgard design. And now we will also be receiving this Hellfire Gala design when the game updates. Let me know down in the comment section below, which of the 7 looks for Thor is your personal favorite. And then we jump to one of my personal favorites, and that's the Punisher. The Punisher is going to be getting a skin based on Daredevil Born Again. Seems kind of random, at least in my opinion. I definitely was very surprised to see this here, just in the sense that I would think that if you had this skin ready to go, or if you wanted to make this skin available, wouldn't it have been better to drop this? I don't know, whether it be like, let's say, the early episodes of Daredevil Born Again, or maybe even the finale of Daredevil Born Again. I feel like it would have made perfect sense to drop it then. Now, with that in mind, as confusing as it is, it's actually a really nice looking skin in my opinion. I know some people say that it's generic looking and a little basic looking. That's why I think it'll only be an epic rarity and will run you probably 1,600 units, which is definitely a nice thing. But then at the same time, the other reason why I really like this skin is because it looks a lot like classic Punisher, just kind of a really classic look for the character, almost like one that you would expect to see in the comics, which I think is super duper awesome, because that's one of those elements that is still somewhat missing, or at least not as prevalent as I would like it to be in Marvel Rivals, is the fact that we don't really have a whole lot of looks that are based specifically on the classic designs of these characters from the comic. Now, once this skin does drop with the latest update, that will bring the overall skin count for Punisher to 6. And those are, of course, his default design. Then we have the very cool looking black and red Thunderbolt recolor, which I absolutely love. And then speaking of recolors, we have the camo recolor of his default skin. Then he has the ever popular Punisher 2099. And of course, most recently, he actually received a legendary skin titled the Dangan Ronin skin, which was inspired by the art of Peach Momoko. So now we'll have our first MCU inspired design, which of course is going to be the Daredevil Born Again outfit. Now, with that in mind, similarly to the same exercise that we just did with Thor, let me know in the comment section below which of the 6 Punisher skins is your personal favorite. Now, skins is not all that is being added with this new update. They're also introducing a brand new rework to the number of votes that are required to surrender in a match, which is a little bit random, but I guess it's something that they felt like would make the experience of the game better. So the new requirements go as follows. They literally provide us with a table. I feel like I'm back in economics class, but essentially the only changes that you really need to pay attention to is if you have a team size of 4, 5, or 6, where you can see that there is now a reduced number of votes required, where you only need 5 votes when you have a team of 6, 4 votes when you have a team of 5, and 3 votes when you have a team of 4 in order to be able to surrender. And then for teams of 3 or 2, the requirements are basically a complete surrender vote of all 3 members or of all duos, or I guess 2 members. But that is still not all. We're also getting some fixes to specific heroes. So let's begin with the Winter Soldier, who will be seeing a fix to his ultimate ability, where essentially what would happen is that while you jump up into the air and try to deliver that epic ultimate, if one of your teammates was playing as Captain America and tried to activate their team up at the same time, well, it would actually send your ultimate into complete disarray. So that will be getting fixed with this new patch. Speaking of sending things into disarray, a similar fix will be getting implemented for Magneto, where essentially his ultimate ability, the Iron Meteor, if it gets popped while he's still charging it up, and he happens to be experiencing low or high latency spikes in that same moment, it would literally just send the character flying all over the place, which does sound like a really funny glitch to experience, at least as long as you're not the Magneto player, but that will be getting fixed with this patch. There's a small fix coming to Mr. Fantastic, where his distended grip ability would misfire and not actually register the hits properly, making you basically waste your abilities. So all you Mr. Fantastic players will be happy to know that that will be getting fixed with this update. Now, Iron Fist players will probably not be happy to hear that this fix is coming, because this is something that probably made Iron Fist better than he should be. But there's an issue where essentially Iron Fist could get around Squirrel Girl's blockade ability and would still be able to move around, even though you're supposed to be stunned and immobile during that particular sequence. While he was in the air, he would be able to actually dodge that. So that will be getting fixed. So that should be a nice welcomed fix for, I guess, Squirrel Girl players, not so much for Iron Fist players. And finally, for Doctor Strange, it seems like there was quite a strange problem, no pun intended, where essentially if you would register KOs using the terrain environment while players would walk through the portals, it would not actually work towards his ultimate energy collection, meaning that you weren't really collecting your ultimate as quickly and as fairly as you should have been as Doctor Strange players. This will be getting fixed with this new update. Oh, but we are not done yet. All of you PC Master Race players will be happy to know that there are some major fixes coming specifically to those of you that use NVIDIA graphics card. Apparently, there was a lot of issues with shader cache overflows as well as hardware accelerated GPU scheduling, and they have a specific breakdown for what all of that means. But essentially what it boils down to is they said that they've worked with NVIDIA in hand to make sure that the new driver update that comes out for NVIDIA GeForce would allow for Marvel Rivals to run more steadily and therefore reduce the number of crashes that you experience if you're playing on the PC. Now, before we jump into the insanely exciting stuff for Marvel Rivals Season number 3, which is definitely something that we have to talk about in today's update video, I did want to take a quick moment and also mention this. Marvel Unlimited, which is of course essentially think like Netflix, but for the Marvel comic book side of things, where you subscribe, you have access to a bunch of different Marvel comic books. That's pretty much what it is. But they've already done a collaboration with Marvel Rivals before, which was the Thing Mr. Unlimited skin that we got previously. But just this past week, interestingly enough, they sent out this poll where they were asking their readers to vote on their favorite Jeff look. And if you look at this list of characters, we have Clown Jeff, we have Unicorn Jeff, we have Sheep Jeff, we have Chimichanga Jeff, we have Duck Jeff, and we have Double Shark Jeff. Of course, it got a lot of us thinking, hold up, is this a poll that they are conducting in order to then decide a future possible collaboration with Marvel Rivals? And so naturally, I then wanted to ask you guys, which of these Jeff designs is your personal favorite? Let me know down in the comments section below. If I had to only pick one, I would probably go with Duck Jeff or Sheep Jeff, because I think they look absolutely ridiculous. Although Chimichanga Jeff does look pretty cool as well, and Clown Jeff as well. Okay, I'm really bad at just picking one Jeff design, but you pick one. And speaking of picking one, we need to talk about Marvel Rivals Season number 3. Of course, for those of you that maybe are not paying attention, we're really not that far away from Season number 3. I mean, it is set to debut on July 11th, so we're a little less than 3 weeks away. So that means we've got about maybe two and a half updates to go before Season number 3 debuts. Now, of course, you might be wondering what happened between last week's update and this week's update that would be exciting in terms of Season number 3. Well, a long-rumored character for Season number 3 is Blade. And previously, we know that obviously Blade started out when he was captured by Dracula. Then after that, we rescued him with the Fantastic Four team, and then he just kind of disappeared, and we were like, wait a minute, where in the heck is Blade? Where did Blade go? Well, then a lot of us noticed that he was actually taking a nap, taking a little bit of a rest over on Wakanda. Well, guess what? The latest update from Marvel Rivals removes the character. He's no longer in bed, implying that he has woken up and possibly is ready to jump into the battle. So, if the theory is correct, because one thing that I do want to remind people, because I feel like some people are like, oh, well, we never know that Blade is coming to the next season. I'm like, bro, if he's not in Season number 3, this is the most long-term storytelling of all time. Like, at this point, it's going to get a little ridiculous. I expect him to be one of the 2 playable characters in Season number 3. I remind people, I'm like, dude, do you not remember? We literally know his entire kit, like with names and some of the possibilities of what they do. Like, we know that his passive is going to be called Bloodline Liberation. We know that he's going to have an ability called Stomp and Slash. He's going to be using a katana and a long-range pistol/weapon for his attacks. We know that he's going to have a Dark Knight attack, a Fang Deflect attack, and even the name of his ultimate ability, which is New Moon. So it's like, we know a lot of details for this character. We know what he looks like. We've seen him in the game already. He's been part of the lore of this game for a season and a half now. So to me, I'm like, Blade has got to be part of this next season. Now, some people believe that it will not be Blade. Some people say that it will be Captain Marvel and Jean Grey. And I kind of understand those arguments as well, especially because the rumor is that Season number 3 will be themed around Clintar, Null, and the symbiotes. So it would make sense that Jean Grey would debut as kind of a counterpoint to Null's insanely powerful symbiotes. I get that. And obviously, they've been teasing Captain Marvel for quite a while now. She's also a space-themed character, so that would fit the Null or Clintar theme as well. And of course, I would be remiss not to mention the fact that last week, when we got the Phoenix Knight version of Moon Knight, which is part of the Phoenix Force, we now have a whole skin category titled Phoenix Force, which means that Moon Knight is not alone. There will be other skins that have the Phoenix Force theme, and after all, if you're going to be introducing Phoenix Force characters, why not have Phoenix herself, Jean Grey, as a playable character? So don't get me wrong, I think the most likely scenario is that season number 3 will indeed feature Jean Grey as a playable character, but I also think it would be absolutely criminal at this point if they don't give us Blade. They've teased this one for so dang long, let us play as Blade. And so there you guys have it. That concludes today's update for Marvel Rivals. An exciting update, not a big one, but certainly still pretty dang exciting. I cannot wait for season number 3 to debut. July 11th is going to be absolutely redonkulously epic because obviously it will feature a ton of new stuff, whether it be a new meta in general in terms of the patches that we can expect. Then in addition to that, we can expect a new hero, or I guess technically villain, to be added into the game as well. So that should be pretty dang exciting. A new map, and much more. If you guys are getting as hyped up as I am for season number 3, don't forget to leave a like. Let me know down in the comment section below the answers to the question I fired away during today's video, whether that be your favorite Thor skin, your favorite version of Punisher, and of course, which of those Jeff skins would you like to see become an actual skin in Marvel Rivals? With all that in mind, I hope you all have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Peace out. I'll see y'all later, alligators. Bye-bye, everybody.